Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. Time just keeps on flying by, and I'm here for the new style Tuesday streams. Maybe I'll stop saying that now. It's been a month, folks. At this point, I would assume know that these streams are a little bit different than the other ones. It's going to be a focus on kind of more casual stream question and answer type dealio and live trading if there is a live trade to take. We'll force it a little bit, but not too much. So how I'm thinking I'm going to be starting off these streams consistently to kind of get them, some structure is pretty much just start by flipping through the watch list and looking for any trades to scout at this point. So I don't really trade a lot of different stuff, typically just the indices and the commodities. I'm doing some crypto lately with all the volatility. But we had a little headline here. I think it's Trump saying fine to the China tariff retaliation. 1 minute candle down, big volume, and right back up there on NQ. ES a little bit weaker there. And yeah, that's that. So let's go look at metals. We got good volatility there. Gold, blue skies, but nothing really going on right now. Just sideways. Could play a bear break for some hourly consolidation, but not interested in shorting a blue sky bull. Not right now, at least. So let's see. Silver, rejecting from resistance. Not really much going on here. Most of the volatility was earlier this morning. That's for sure there. Oil, big move up, looking for a 4-hour higher low, looking to see if bulls can show back up in some fashion. But I shouldn't say it like that. I'm really not looking to see that. Oil, I just trust the trend. So potentially tomorrow there could be reason to look to the upside because essentially got a bear flag confirmed on the daily without follow through. And oftentimes that's a clue to look the other direction. So I guess since it is technically a swing trade Q&A, we can talk about an NVDA swing attempt that I think I'll be holding on to and trying to see if it can weather the AMD earnings storm. And it's ultimately what we're just looking at on oil here, where you get a daily bear flag confirmed without follow through. When we look at NVDA, we got the bear flag confirmed on Monday and then bounced back up above support. So that was the first little clue that it might not see follow through, or certainly didn't see much follow through initially, but there's more that needs to be done to like officially say it lacks follow through. And for me personally, that means you got to get a daily bounce underway. So I was going to play the daily stair step, but we had some relative strength early this morning, just a few minutes in relative to QQQ, and I said, you know what? If I'm playing the daily stair step, my stop is going to have to be so far away. I'll have a pretty small position size because of that. Whereas if I just take this as a day trade essentially and enter, I think I got, well, let me look at my broker real quick. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was 117.54. Yeah, so 117.54. So, right in here, pretty early purchase with a stop at low of day. And that's just saying, okay, we've got a little relative strength. We know we are potentially going to be confirming or having confirmed a bear flag without follow through. Maybe bulls show up. I'm going to take a crack, risk a half day loser or something like that. And with that, I was able to put on a lot more size than what I would have been able to do otherwise if I was doing the daily stair step. So it's kind of about having a reason to be looking somewhere, and it's typically a multifaceted thesis, and that's the case here with NVDA as well. If we go to the monthly, we've got a test of monthly 12 EMA. So we're looking for a monthly higher low. We're testing the 12 EMA. Very often we see flags confirm without follow through, mark larger time frame pivots, and so it had the recipe for everything there. I made the aggressive entry due to the relative strength only. If we didn't have that relative strength, then I would not have made that entry there. And now at this point, I've scaled out 3/4. Let's go back to the 5-minute chart. So I was just scaling out on this way up. I took half at 118.68. 118.68. 119.78, so right in here. And then I took half of what was remaining, so another quarter at 119.78. So then that brings my average to 113. And I'm just going to do the same thing that I did on the NVDA swing from here back in, wow, that was, it seems like it was not that long ago, but that was April 2024. And ultimately had to risk the profits of like what would be a good day trade, something that I feel good with as a day trade. But that's not the objective of this swing. So when you have a bigger picture intent with it, you will have to sacrifice the the gains that you have in hopes that you can attain more gains. So I'm just gonna have my stop break even. It's technically 113.02. So a penny above the low there, and I'm just gonna babysit it during these AMD earnings. I don't necessarily want to do that, but got to do what you got to do because I don't want to have this turn into a loss at this point. Obviously, with earnings, 113 is not that far away, and if we just get one of those God candles, it could be difficult. But the nice thing on Thinkorswim is that there are buttons that you can use for extended hours that essentially makes it act like a market order, where you can sell the bid and buy the ask. Because on Thinkorswim, at least, you can only use limit orders, but it's kind of like a pseudo market order. So I'll just be babysitting that and see how that goes. And then, yeah, I don't really know. I'll have to see how the trade sets up if I do end up getting this off the ground. For this one, I just walked a stop on the daily stair step or the daily uptrend, and that kept me in the trade much longer than I would have otherwise. So I'd like to do something similar on this, and I'm really not looking to chop anything more unless we like get really extended. Say we have a bullish reaction to AMD earnings and NVDA gets solid sympathy from it, because I mean it's been a while since we've had earnings, so next earnings aren't anytime soon. Let me go to the daily. When are they? Oh yeah, they are soon. These are Wednesday, February 26th. So yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. But that's the first swing position I've put back on since taking out most of my portfolio in September and October. So we'll see. I'm definitely a little cautious, bigger picture with the market, just with like the general euphoria. And it might sound crazy, but the way the altcoins got smoked off a couple days ago, it wouldn't be the first time that we see ultimately altcoins lead the way for the whole market, which sounds outlandish, but hear me out. Essentially, we know that higher risk names, assets, cryptos, commodities, whatever, higher risk assets often lead the way in markets, because if people are confident with those, then that really shows that there is confidence. But once people start to kind of de-risk and we shift more towards a risk-off environment, those higher risk assets are the first ones to get dumped. So a lot of times in crypto, you'll see the alts get smoked off and Bitcoin's fine, and that's ultimately like the warning shot. And then once a little bit more time goes by, then Bitcoin gets smoked off, and you say, oh, that warning shot actually meant something. And just to talk about the 2022 broad market top, crypto topped in November back here. So November 2021, crypto topped. The broad market did not top until January there. So it certainly wouldn't be something we have not seen before. So keeping that on the back of my mind. But anyways, that's not going to stop me from taking a nice setup here on NVDA for the potential that could just be a monthly higher low and the show goes on. I'm protective, but I also am well aware that the markets can just keep going up for as long as they want to. So that is that. Let's go keep peeking around, see if we can find a trade. Bitcoin's got a conference, or Trump's talking about Bitcoin, or someone's talking about crypto. It's in Crypto General, a conference on America's plan for digital assets. hosted by Trump's crypto czar David Sachs. So not really doing anything. Not really doing anything there. Looking for that 12-hour lower high still. So I would have like a bearish bias for this kind of tightening range here, but short-term price action is pretty whack. So I might do a 15-minute lower high on Bitcoin. Yeah, I would do that if we get some bounce going. Let me set some alerts. All right. Pretty strong reaction off a 5-minute 12 EMA there. Yeah, so if it comes to me and we get a bounce back up near 100K, then I would short that, looking for a 12-hour lower high. Let's check out some of these stinkers. Toshi was one of the crazier bounces off of that flush, 112%. Absolutely bonkers. Metals are just chilling. Oil is not having clarity. You know, if it wasn't 311, so a lot of times natural gas and oil after the pit closes, which is 2:30 Eastern, it'd be kind of hard pressed to see moves play out with any gusto. Price will kind of just meander along because that's like where a lot of the volume comes from for those traders. Got wheat. Wheat, grains are closed right now, but falling wedge seeing nice follow through. Nobody's talking about wheat yet, but they will be, I think. Time will tell. Let's see. What else we got? BLTR just pin itself up at the... No, there was some decent volatility here today. Yeah, for sure. Hourly lower high there. Nah. It's kind of interesting that CCJ is so much stronger than peers here. Being the largest of the bunch, a lot of times those lower volume names will see bigger moves. I guess we could do the 5-minute lower high on NQ. If we get another leg up into this value area low, try to get risk free, maybe get some end of day profit taking. Hold on, let me get things marked off so I know what I'm working with. 680. Get another broker open. And I'm always wanting to see what we look like in terms of relative strength or relative weakness. Let me get my other thing situated over here. So this is good for NQ. When you look at peers, a lot closer to resistance, so that shows us a little bit of relative weakness, which is what we would want to be seeing if we were going to be looking for a short. Yeah, I think I'd do 21,662, something like that. And then I'd look to chop half pretty quick, see if I can't get risk-free. You know, I would do like a couple entries. 21,662, and maybe 10 points higher or something like that. Look and see if you can't get it risk-free. And then, yeah, I don't know what the play would really even be for. I guess like a 30-minute tightening range into the end of the day. Something like that. It's a little sloppy. And bigger picture, the only reason I'd really be taking a crack at this, given that bulls are strong, is because we're in a daily EQ looking for a daily lower high. So that kind of shifts the odds to be a little more okay shorting a 4-hour uptrend. Yeah, we'll just see if it doesn't V-shape. I'll just click in the 662 order now. And now we wait. And if we were to pull back to like 21,642 without getting filled, then I would bail on the trade, because that would just essentially be missing it. You know, that'd be our 5-minute consolidation getting underway. And at this point, I mean, bulls have room for a 5-minute higher low. That's probably the real move here. But with AMD earnings, and I wonder if they're like the first of the batch to report in the semiconductors. If anybody knows that, I'd love to know as well. Check back in relative strength and weakness. So structurally, it's a little bit weaker, but in the short term now we can see red candle, red candle, red candle, green candle still. So that is a little short-term relative strength coming into NQ. Not what you love to see, but you know, risk is small enough, and I do think that odds of a 5-minute lower high are still favored versus V-shaping up. Yeah, YM is definitely the stronger pull back here out of the indices. I'll go ahead and drop a blue line where my limit is sitting. Kind of feeling like I maybe should be using the clue from the other indices that they're starting to come down and look at NQ as a laggard and just like get in here and put a close stop there, but we'll just stick to the plan for right now. Yeah, it does seem to be that's what how things are playing out. Yeah, we'll go ahead and pull that order. Didn't come to me, but we are getting the pullback there. We got pretty good volatility right now. I mean, 20 points pretty quick. It's not nothing on NQ. I'll check back in on Bitcoin. That trade still is not setting up. Let's see if gold is trying to get that hourly consolidation underway. It is. Excuse me. All right, let's see what y'all are talking about. Starpacro. ETH monthly higher low swing with ETH BTC monthly oversold bounce. Headwind could be pretty decent. Tricky to position now though. Yeah, I'm actually a little, I'm not salty, but I had a very good ETH entry at the lows down here the other night, and just scaled out way too early. I was pretty much like, or I was asleep, and Devin called me. I had made a couple other attempts. Like I made a wedge attempt that stopped out, small loss, and then I made another attempt in here, I think, that stopped out, break even. And then I like pretty much just fell asleep. And then Devin called me and was like, we're dumping. So I kind of came downstairs pretty scrambled. But fortunately I was like a little late. So I pretty much showed up at the bottom. I was like, wow, if I was here, I would have been scaling in. much earlier. So I felt comfortable getting pretty big. Just kind of taking the blessing of not having scaled in earlier. So I had most of my Schwab account into Bitcoin futures, and I had most of my Coinbase account into ETH, and scaled it out on the bounce, and didn't leave any runners. So I do think with the yearly higher low on ETH BTC is the most likely scenario that there's definitely a reason to be interested in ETH. I've been talking about it on Twitter a handful of times of just like when hate gets highest, that's usually when the tide turns. So I don't know about really caring about monthly oversold on ETH BTC necessarily. Like we know it's oversold, we know it's extended, but the main thing that we need to do is see a weekly uptrend if we're talking that bigger picture higher low shaping up. So now the question is, okay, if we're going to dream a little bit on this yearly higher low for ETH BTC and kind of front run some relative strength coming into ETH USD, how do we want to go about positioning for that? Ideally, someone's already positioned from that flush, but now that we've bounced 30% off the lows, 36% off of the lows, I think it's about playing for a 12-hour higher low, but not necessarily playing off of these lows, just because, bulls don't want to come back down to 23 or something like that, because then your odds of a trend change and recovery are diminished. So, that's pretty far to scale and have a stop. So what I would do is probably, look for like a 12-hour stair step or something, and then take the bull break, put the stop there, and say that's either a 12-hour higher low to lead to a daily bounce, to lead to a potential monthly hold of support, or you stop out. So I'd probably rather be making multiple attempts. I'd be wanting to make multiple attempts with bigger size and a closer stop versus trying to just scale the whole thing. But that's just me. That is just me. Definitely, I'm like not, I don't know. I'm kind of in a weird spot with the markets. I'm bullish because we're in uptrends on everything, but it's just, I don't know. Kind of just got that feeling. You got the president launching a meme coin. You got a lot of people who don't trade starting to be like, wow, I want to get involved in the markets. And we just see these same things every cycle. And just starting to see some of the froth come on in. So but it's been frothy for a while, and that's kind of why I'm trying this NVDA swing. Like, am I like bullish on this quarterly chart right now? No, it looks like it's going to come on down. This, is no different than this, which was no different than this, which was no different than this. Like, we know how these big extended moves end up going. And like this one seems so crazy compared to these, but you can see with the scale, like that's how it looked last time. That's how it looked the time before. It's all just relative. So am I bullish on this chart? No, I'm not, but I figured there's good odds to get risk-free, and who knows, maybe we do go up another 50% before topping, and that's obviously a very worthwhile trade. So certainly a little more headline, overhead than I'd prefer to deal with right now, but that's why you chop down your position. All right. Blue Sky. What you think about Disney scouting 15-minute inverse head and shoulders, looking at setting a 4-hour higher low and longer-term weekly inverse head and shoulders? Let's take a look. So we'll start zoom out. So got to be cautious of a quarterly lower high. I'm assuming that might be the longer-term weekly inverse head and shoulders you're talking about, though, if we look at it. Like this maybe is what you're looking at. Yeah, it could. How I would look at something like that is just you got your clear wall of resistance here. You got your clear wall of resistance, and if bulls get up and over that, that's like a yearly higher low. I think it would be. It would be follow through on a yearly high or low to stay within a yearly EQ. So up against resistance, risk to reward does favor bears. But zoom in. So gap down Monday, bought back up. We're looking for a 4-hour high or low. We got a 15-minute. Yeah, it's honestly pretty similar to that real zoomed out bit. It's like we got a clear wall of resistance here that needs to break to try to get that 4-hour high or low set. But staunch defense from the bears right now. Yeah, very clear wall of defense. So as far as that being an inverse head and shoulders, I feel like that was, it's a little fugly, but that was basically Bull's attempt at it right there and got smacked down at resistance. But we are still looking for a 4-hour high or low. Bulls will hope this is like a cup and handle type pattern. And earnings are tomorrow. So that kind of bungles all of this, in my opinion, just because that's a crapshoot. Let's see how far we are from support and resistance. That's 6%, 4%. So yeah, we could break out of this range on earnings for sure. Let's see. Well, I guess dinky hourly uptrend confirmed yesterday. Bull break of the high yesterday, no follow through. Probably just going to stay within this daily range here until earnings. I'd be shocked if we were out of that before earnings, and then we'll have to see what earnings do. I don't really love the chart, to be honest. I don't know. It's kind of just been doing a lot of nothing. I mean, it's been a nice ranger. That's for sure. But as far as anything bigger picture, I don't think there's really anything indicative of a shift in that regard. And anything, I think my problem with anything like this is it's just like, okay, everything's up at all-time highs. What's your problem? It's like tough to be interested in a name like this when you've got a lot of names that are like in hype right now. And maybe it breaks out of this range and then Disney is on the map for even that, like 30% before you're looking for a yearly lower high. It just doesn't seem worth it. Doesn't seem worth it. I don't know what their dividend is, though. They have a dividend, right? I mean, dinky. All right, let's see. Maybe we're buying a 5-minute higher low now on NQ after missing our short. Yeah, I'm interested. But I don't really know how I want to get in yet. I guess ideally we could get like a 1-minute, either a 1-minute inverse head and shoulders, or I would take an entry on fresh lows. And it'll just be the opposite of what I was trying to do up here. Get risk-free, sell partial. And then see what the rest of the day brings. It's only 3:30. Gosh, I really just would have rather been in the short. There's nothing worse than like missing your one directional thing and be like, all right, well, I guess I just will take the next play. And then you end up like taking an L, basically trading against yourself. But, afternoon trading, I'm not looking to be married to any of these positions, really. Let's see. Okay. I just took one entry. It's a little slow. Like 28.50. I got a limit at 34.25 to try to sell half. Oh, come on. Okay, I sold half. And now I've got stop, break even under this candle here. We'll see what can get going. Would I want to stop out? Yeah, I'll just stop it out. If that volume coming up isn't a 5-minute high or low, then I would think we're probably gonna break support or something. I don't really want to tango it much further down, knowing that we're looking for a daily lower high, you know? And then, you know, maybe I would take it off like 21,652 if we do follow through to the upside, and be just a nice little trade for the end of the day. I'll stick my limit in up there. Yeah, 652.25. Just right back up to resistance. If we can get up there, I'll just chop the whole thing, and that will just be a nice little kind of dink and dunk trade for a 5-minute high or low. And even if it does come down and stop out, you know, it's already at this point a successful trade. I don't really care if I mean, I'd prefer to make money. But really the key thing is just positioning, like getting positioned, knowing that just having that small time frame navigation to get the entry on the lower lows, chop half to get risk free, and then you can't lose at that point. So that, to me, that is an obvious win. That's typically my goal. And then for this trade specifically, it is always it's a confidence booster to have what happened here, where it was like, okay, we wanted the 5-minute lower high. That was the original scout, and a little greedy maybe on where I tried to get in at. Maybe a little timid, knowing that others were coming down right here and NQ was holding on strong, and it could have been taken as a laggard. But yeah, to miss that and then have that end up being right, you know, psychologically, it can be kind of tough to then get in the trade the opposite direction and just let that go and be like, all right, that's done and gone. I'm not sitting here counting the dollars that I would have made and say, all right, well, what's the next like valid trade that is out there? And to be able to flip bias and just be nimble and fluid with the markets is it's something that I've had difficulty with, as everybody does, I believe. When you're learning how to trade, it's like kind of tough. So certainly something that you know, I think is probably just like a lifelong trading challenge, where you're always going to strive to be better in that regard, because the more fluid you can be, the more potential you have. So, and as far as like the mechanics of the entry, you just like so when we go to this 1-minute lower low here and it gets snapped back up, that kind of just tells us that bulls are like buying like short-term dips. So that's why I said, okay, I'll make an entry if we go to lower lows, or if we bounce big enough to then be looking for a higher low. So those are typically the two things. So one thing that earlier in my career I struggled with a lot is we can go to the 15-second time frame to look at this. So here's that 1-minute lower low that snapped back up. This was the one that we bought. A lot of times when this snap back up comes, I'd say, all right, I'm now going to like play for a higher low here. Or I'm just going to like enter here and put my stop here. And it's just, it behooves you to, one, let the trade come to you and not chase, not feel FOMO. And two, just to kind of just give yourself more room. Smaller position size, more room. And for me, that was a game changer for me, as opposed to taking, you know, like 10 contracts, 10 MNQs or something like that, and having a close stop, you know, take 4 and then another 4 or something like that. And it's just, you give yourself a lot more leeway, a lot more chance to be right. So sometimes I will want to really put on size with tight risk, like doing stair steps essentially. But I don't know. It's kind of like depends on what kind of state of mind I'm in. Like sometimes I'm feeling aggro and I'm like down to put in like multiples of my net worth on a 1 minute stair step or whatever. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know, I just would prefer the lower bandwidth play. So we've got our bounce here. So I do wonder, yeah, we'll stick with the plan. We'll stick with the plan. 652.25. We'll see if we get there. I did have a thought for just a second of, I don't know, maybe we just leave the stop at the low and see if maybe we get bull buying bonanza into the end of the day. But there's, I don't know. We'll just stick to the plan. We'll stick to the plan. I'm going to clean this chart up here a little bit. I got a lot of crap. We'll get rid of that one as well. We'll add an alert to our downside, and we'll add an alert here to know if we get our fill. Starting to get a little closer. So RTY new highs, YM looking for that lower high. Bitcoin never came to us. Come on, NQ. It's a little bit more. Yeah, we'll just be patient. Sometimes it can be kind of tough when you're like just a few points from your target. You've got a good number of points bagged already. Not like a ton. 28 to 48, so got 20 points. Looking for like 25. And we're filled. Very nice. So yeah, I'll just leave that be for now. I mean, we could look short. But at this point, 23 minutes left in the day, we'll just leave it be. We'll just leave it be. Not a ton of action, but good little example there of how you can kind of dink and dunk stuff around. And like 25 points is not nothing on NQ. That's for sure. It's certainly worthwhile. And the cool thing with futures is the margins are so low that you can sack into it. Like people talk about, oh, when volatility dies, the market is going to be so boring. No one's going to be able to make any money. I honestly kind of am not really afraid of when volatility dies, whenever it is down the road and we have like 5-point ranges on ES for the day, because you would just take, like, let's find a little thing like this will be like the day for ES, but this is just like a handful of points. You can put on a ton of contracts and have a clear stop and just dink it for a couple points. So futures traders are going to be the only ones, I think, enjoying the lack of volatility. That being said, volatility is a lot more fun than just dinking around range bound. But range trading is not sexy, but it is very profitable if you accept that it's a range and don't try to force trend on it. All right, let's see what else we got going on. Chat. Mike C in with the intel about Disney earnings coming up. Thank you, Mike. And let's see, Mr. Pacro. SGML monthly inverse head and shoulder for the swing could be decent as well. Let's take a look. SGML, is this Sigma Lithium Corporation? That's not what I thought it was. I was thinking of some pot related. Yeah, that's pretty, man. That's pretty. Let's see if we've got like a, no, we wouldn't have a yearly 12 EMA. Let's see. I was going to see, because that's like a yearly higher low we're looking for ultimately. Yes, I like the 6 month as well. looking for that higher low. You got your smaller nested doing its thing. You got, so we can look at this shift here. When we're uptrending, increasing bull volume, I guess this one was increasing bear volume as well, but increasing bull volume, decreasing bear volume, increasing bull volume, decreasing bear volume, increasing bear volume. That was the top, that was the shift. Increasing bear volume, slightly increasing bull volume, increasing bear volume, slightly increasing bull, increasing bear, slightly increasing bull. Now we have decreasing bear. So that's a shift. That is a shift and a point in favor for bulls being able to pull this off. You know, neckline's kind of far apart. I don't really split hairs on stuff like that anymore, though, because the main thing about it, inverse head and shoulders, I mean, part of it is supposed to be that you pop the necklines at the same time, so you get like double the people stopping out. But really more so what it is the clear shift from a downtrend to an uptrend in one fell swoop. Because sometimes you got your downtrend and then you just go back up and you're not in an uptrend, but you broke your downtrend and then you need to get your trend change there. But when you go down and then just pop it all at once, it kind of has that similar power of you know, getting everybody on the same page. All right, let's check back in on that NQ. So it did go right to 5-minute higher highs, or that's a 5-minute uptrend reconfirmed. Is that a little dinky hourly higher low? Nah, 30. No, we're just sideways. Not going to split hairs on it. What up, Zach? How you doing, brother? Can I take a look at Tempest? If I can find it. TEM, the stock. So the monthly chart does not really give us much. Weekly, you know, another instance of the bear flag confirmed without follow through. So this Tempest weekly, this pullback here, that is no different from NVDA daily or oil daily right now. You see it all the time. But yeah, I would anticipate some resistance up here. I think going to new highs is the less likely scenario pretty firmly. Got resistance here at 68.95. Kind of seems like there's something here. Let's get a little range. We'll zoom in. Lots of price interaction on this. Support, resistance, 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 and now bulls are up and over. So I would say if that zone is lost, then that's when we're talking like weekly consolidation to just stay range bound. But yeah, it's not a very clear chart in a macro sense. We've got a nice daily uptrend, and that can just be simply the guide here as we come up to resistance. So gap up. So we had the initial gap, one more kind of baby gap after that, and aside from that, we've had no gaps here. So we'll see if a gap up marks a little temp top on this thing or not. Man, there is some heavy machinery outside. Nice. There's like just the roads are still just lined with debris from the hurricane. You know, piles. Some of the piles are like 15 feet high of just like chopped up trees and trunks and branches and all this stuff, and it's all obviously still there, but we got some folks on the street picking some of it up here today, so that's cool. Zach, 4-hour rising wedge. Could be. I mean, higher highs aren't seeing follow through, but it doesn't really draw that nice. If anything, it looks like we kind of like broke bull from it today. Something like that. Maybe an overthrow. But yeah, I mean, this thing is just not doing much. Not doing much bigger picture. This is plenty volatile, though. You don't need bigger picture stuff. on this, but I would want to see continued increase in bull volume if I was looking for blue skies on this, because it's still pretty far away. You turn off log and see it's kind of far still. But yeah, not the most convincing or not the most impulsive action at this point. And yesterday was a very strong day, but in general, just kind of wiggling up. Wonder. I think that's all I have to say about that. So Pelosi. It's a Pelosi name. Well, we know she doesn't lose often, but also, if it's gonna just go to blue skies or something, you need to see increasing volume, not decreasing. But there are only 2 days into the week, just below half of yesterday's or last week's volume. Maybe we could increase. Let's check in on that NVDA position. Really not wild about that earnings, right day one of establishing the swing. Obviously, it's not NVDA's earnings, but 5% on sympathy is not unheard of. But we'll just chill with it. I think mainly it's because I don't want to sit around and wait for earnings. Hopefully AMD reports promptly. Yeah. Other thing is no, I don't want to chop anymore. I will just stay at the computer. Yeah, maybe that Bitcoin trade will come to us after all. But at this point, as I'm using BTC futures close in an hour and 13 minutes. Only for an hour, but not keen on carrying over a freshly established position. Like I want cushion. And the whole thing is like when you say, yeah, you got an hour and 13 minutes. Well, sometimes this 15-minute lower high, you get up here, it dings it, and it goes back down. You take your partial, and you have your risk off, and it only took a half hour. Sometimes, this thing will just like slink up, and you get like 4 little candles like that. Next thing you know, an hour has gone by. You're already in a position, and then you end up having to close it just because you like literally ran into time constraints. So, got to be a little picky when time is limited. That's a pretty strong rejection on the dollar, huh? We were talking in the weekend videos about what would it mean if we got a weekly downtrend on the dollar. And for me, it means potential that we tighten up on the 6-month time frame like we did for years back here. We could tighten up between 114 and 99 for several years. That being said, I don't care about the dollar, but I still watch it because other people do. I guess this is what it is. But yeah, what else? So the weekend video was good in the commodity space. The platinum trade, like having the talk about how it's easy to feel bullish after this high volume day and this and that, but when you're range bound, you're short off the highs, you're long off the lows, and that ended up being a very nice short. Pretty quick 5.44% on a heavily leveraged instrument is dank. I didn't take it, to be clear. But yeah, one contract, that would have been like on one contract $2,500. Getting a little spice. It's actually kind of interesting right now. We've got get this back over here. I was going to say a little spice on NQ, pretty sharp candle down, but and a sharp candle up on YM. That's got to be, someone said something. Oh no, it's the MOC. That's what it is. Lori pointing out that the NVDA has had wacky or wild imbalance action lately. Definitely seen a little, a candle there, but pretty tame today. Let's go see what it did yesterday. Yeah. A 1 minute 0.5% candle is pretty wild indeed. Let's look at Airbnb from Mr. Frank. This is just a big old EQ is how I'm, I mean, it's sloppy. I'm viewing it as like low, high, lower low, no follow through, lower high, and now we're looking for a monthly higher low compared to 110.38. And we got earnings coming up next week. Week from today. Is that right? Yeah. No. 8 days from today. So yeah, for this monthly higher low, you could probably be looking at this like just kind of like wedge-ish channel, something like that, and say that if we break out of this, then the monthly higher low is shaping on up. So for me, if I'm trying to position for that monthly higher low, I would prefer to get the lower low, no follow through for better risk to reward to try to get something like that off again. But do just have to be a little cautious trading inside this kind of like mess. You can see current price is definitely at a significant level. Support, resistance, support. Now we're like sashaying around it. But yeah, I like the channel. Little daily EQ. If the daily EQ breaks to the upside, then that would be like weekly bounce getting underway. But just want to make sure you don't get chopped up when it's really not doing that much. All right, let's look at Toshi for Blue Sky. Yeah, I was having a lot of fun trading Toshi on the way up. But haven't made a trade on it since. So what are we looking at? Hourly falling wedge. 4-hour higher low confluence. It looks like we went to 4-hour lower lows, but without much follow through. Let's get this wedge drawn on. Yeah, feel like, this hourly falling wedge. Let me get rid of some of these lines. Hourly falling wedge for a 12-hour higher low is what I'm assuming it would be. We'll double check in just a second. Let's clean this puppy up. That's a pretty sharp rebound there already. So would that be a 12-hour? Yeah, it would be like trying for like a 12-hour bull flag. So after this move on up here, aggressive bulls could be doing the higher low, but I'd probably, and I may actually even trade this. If I was going to do it, I'd probably make an entry there and an entry there with like a stop there or something like that. So just making sure that, excuse me, getting a little hiccups. Knowing that lower lows are not seeing follow through, you don't want to have your stop at the lows there. You don't want to have the stop at the lows, but also if you just wait on the lows and you don't get them, and that can be tough because you're like being a little greedy. So yeah, I like that. And Q bulls are making a stand into the end of the day here. 6 minutes left. Let's see if it's anyone specific. It's not really NVDA. Not really Tesla. Oh, that's right. Oh, come on. This is why I use a watch list. Someone's got to be popping. Apple's kind of. Amazon's good. Okay, there we go. Microsoft. So it was a big part of that. That was largely Microsoft, whatever they got going on. Whatever they got going on. So weak, given that NQ had just 2 ripper days off of those lows. Pretty weak. Amazon, blue skies. All right, let's see what AMD's doing into earnings. They've been getting like smoked, right? Probably, yeah. Yeah, that's a nice look into earnings. Just because they've just been getting bagged since their last earnings. So to have another bear reaction, they would just have to like really stink it up again. So it looks like it's been a while since they've actually had a bullish reaction to earnings, though, huh? These are all. Here's one, but even that still open next day at the same price. Gap up, and then yeah, it has been a while since AMD. Here's some good positive earnings that saw some follow through. Yeah. Oh wow, some old lines. I remember I actually took like a really big loss on AMD early in my career. Maybe like I might have sold this bottom or something like that, or this bottom. That might have been it. I think I was playing off of this and I like stopped out the lows. And price went up a lot. That's how it goes sometimes, though. That's how it goes sometimes. All right, let me ask the robot if it knows when AMD, what time they report earnings. Because if they're like early reporters, I will just stay live and manage that NVDA live. Okay, so Grok says 415. Man, I'm not gonna stick around till that. I'm not gonna stick around till that. Pretty strong day ahead of earnings for AMD. Did I take any NQ trades early in the day? I did not. That was actually my first one, the one that I did live there. I was pretty focused on NVDA this morning. I kind of like, I don't know if struggle is the right word for it, but I like to focus. So on a day where I'm trying to establish a swing, like I'm okay basically putting all of my other instruments to the side, because essentially like what I do today on NVDA, if done right and I end up being right, you know, that might be able to passively pay me for several months to come. So yeah, I usually just put other stuff to rest. So yeah, I managed the NVDA in the morning, then had a chart guys meeting. I went into town, got myself actually pretty big news in the life of Joey. I got a screen protector for my phone. I haven't used a screen protector on a phone in well over a decade, just because I like to live life wildly, and I'm also very I don't know what the word would be, like acute with my hands. Like I'm meticulous with my things. Like I don't drop stuff. I handle things with care, and I've never needed a phone screen. It just didn't get scratched. Okay, hold on. I gotta make sure that my broker's ready on this NVDA, just in case they do report before while I finish my. Yeah, you know, it's not like I've never gotten like a little scratch on my phone, but I don't know if I have something, I like have it to use it, and I'm not too bothered by that. But I get a new phone once every 4 years, and my time had come up. Got my new phone. Day one, scratched the living crap out of it. I don't even know how it happened. I think it like these iPhones are so slick. I think it like fell out of my pocket into like under my car seat and then hit like a piece of diamond or something. But the scratch was so deep that like the pad of my thumb could feel it. So, anyways, you know, that's why it's nice to be within your 14-day, no questions asked return exchange policy. So I went and swapped that sucker out, got a new one, and I said, I'm not getting a screen protector on this new one either. That was a fluke, but I was in Best Buy today and I just caved and got one. And I'll tell you, so far so good. So far so good. I didn't know that they like were glass now. I've just been living under a rock, I guess. They got this like wazoo applicator. Like last time I used screen protectors, it was a pain in the butt to get on. You'd have a bunch of bubbles. It would look like crap in a couple days. But anyways, new year, new me. I'm screen protected. I'm like ready to be reckless. And on that note, I'm going to end the stream. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see what these earnings do, if it knocks out my NVDA position or not. And I would just stop it out on new lows below 113. And that, what's that? Oh, so Bitcoin getting that 12-hour lower high set. Anyways, take care, everybody. I will talk to you later. Farewell.